The snow started before they even crossed the county line. At first it looked harmless. Tiny flakes drifting lazily through the headlights while Caleb Turner drove his rented SUV deeper into western Montana. Music played low through the speakers. His friends laughed in the back seat. Mason already had a beer open despite the winding mountain roads, and Jenna kept recording videos for social media, even though there was barely any signal left. "Dude," Mason said, peering out the window. "This place looks like the beginning of a murder documentary." Caleb smirked. "That's the point. The cabin had been absurdly cheap. That should have warned them. 3 nights in a fully furnished mountain lodge with a hot tub, fireplace, generator, and snowmobile garage for less than the price of a motel room. The owner claimed nobody rented during heavy winter months because tourists were afraid of getting snowed in. Caleb thought it sounded perfect. A chance to disconnect. A chance to get away from work. A chance to forget what happened 6 months ago. He tightened his grip on the steering wheel as the memory tried crawling back into his head again. The screaming. The blood. The newspaper headlines. He forced it away. "Almost there," he muttered. The GPS died 10 minutes later. No warning. The screen simply froze before going black. Jenna lowered her phone. "Okay, that's creepy." "It's Montana," Caleb said. "Not exactly downtown Chicago." The road narrowed as pine trees thickened around them. Snow coated every branch in heavy white layers that sagged beneath the weight. Their headlights cut through the darkness in weak yellow beams. Then they saw the sign. Black Ridge Trail. No winter maintenance. Travel at your own risk. Below it, someone had spray-painted another message in faded red letters. "Don't stop here." Funny, Mason laughed. Nobody else did. The cabin appeared 20 minutes later. Massive. Old. 3 stories tall with dark wooden walls and steep slanted roofs drowning under snow. It stood completely isolated at the edge of the forest with nothing around it except frozen wilderness and endless white hills. No neighboring cabins. No lights nearby. Nothing. Jenna stared up at it. "Okay, this is actually insane." The porch light flickered weakly. Caleb climbed out into knee-deep snow and inhaled the freezing air. His boots crunched across ice as he approached the front door. Something immediately felt wrong. Not obvious. Just subtle enough to make his skin tighten. The cabin looked clean. Maintained. But there were strange marks carved beside the doorway. Thin scratches in the wood. Deep grooves that almost resembled tally marks. Hundreds of them. "You coming?" Mason yelled while unloading bags. Caleb hesitated, then opened the door. Warm air rushed out. The inside looked surprisingly modern. Huge stone fireplace. Leather couches. Mounted elk heads. Long dining table. Massive windows overlooking the forest. And the smell. A faint metallic smell beneath the wood smoke. Jenna wrinkled her nose. "You smell that?" "Probably old pipes," Caleb answered. But he wasn't convinced. The owner had left a handwritten note on the kitchen counter. "Welcome to Black Ridge Cabin. Storm warning in effect tonight. Generator activates automatically if power fails. Do not enter basement for any reason. Supplies are stocked for 3 days. Enjoy your stay." Mason burst out laughing. "Okay, this guy definitely watches horror movies." Caleb folded the note slowly. Why specifically mention the basement? Nobody answered. Outside, the wind howled louder. By midnight, the snowstorm became violent. The entire cabin groaned beneath heavy winds. Snow slammed against windows hard enough to shake the glass. Visibility outside vanished completely into swirling white chaos. Inside, things started feeling smaller. Too small. Even with the giant living room and high ceilings, the storm made the cabin feel sealed shut from the world. Like a trap. Mason got drunk first. Then annoying. He kept making jokes about hidden killers and mountain cannibals while throwing poker chips at Jenna. "Maybe the owner lives in the basement," he laughed. "Maybe he eats tourists." "Shut up," Jenna snapped. Caleb noticed she kept glancing toward the hallway near the basement door. Everyone did. The door sat near the kitchen beneath a dim yellow light. Heavy steel. Different from every other door in the cabin. 3 deadbolts. And scratches. Long scratches. As if something had clawed at it from the inside. At 1:13 a.m., the power died. Everything went black instantly. Jenna screamed. Mason cursed loudly. Then silence swallowed the room except for the storm outside. A few seconds later, the generator kicked in. But only partially. The lights returned dimmer than before, flickering weakly. That's when they heard it. A bang. Deep below them. Everyone froze. Another bang echoed up through the floorboards. Then scraping. Slow. Heavy. Caleb stared toward the basement door. Nobody moved. Mason forced a laugh. Probably pipes. Then came the third sound. A scream. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just brief. Human. And immediately cut off. Jenna stood up so fast her chair crashed backward. Nope. Nope. I'm done. Did you hear that? Caleb did. Every nerve in his body screamed to leave. But outside was a blizzard powerful enough to bury the SUV within hours. We should check, he said quietly. Are you insane? Jenna snapped. Another bang rattled the floor beneath them. Mason swallowed hard. Maybe somebody's down there. The basement door shook slightly. Just once. Then stopped. The four of them stared at it for nearly 30 seconds without speaking. Finally, Caleb grabbed the fireplace poker. Stay here. Absolutely not, Jenna said immediately. But he was already moving. Each step toward the basement felt heavier. The metallic smell grew stronger near the door. Not pipes. Blood. Old blood. Caleb noticed something else too. The deadbolts weren't locked anymore. Every single one hung open. Slowly, carefully, he wrapped his fingers around the handle. Cold. Ice cold. He pulled the door open. Darkness stretched downward into a narrow stairwell. The smell hit instantly. Rot. Decay. Something wet. Mason gagged behind him. Jesus Christ. The basement lights didn't work. Only darkness waited below. Then came a voice. Weak. Barely audible. Help me. Jenna covered her mouth. A woman's voice. Alive. Caleb tightened his grip on the poker and started descending the stairs. The wood creaked beneath each step. The deeper he went, the colder it became. Then his foot touched something soft. He looked down. A pile of clothes. No, not clothes. Skin. Human skin. Peeled off in long, ragged strips. Caleb stumbled backward in horror. His flashlight beam jerked across the basement walls. Chains. Hooks. Stained mattresses. Rust-covered tools. And cages. 3 massive cages built from welded steel bars. One empty. One filled with bones. And one occupied. A woman sat curled inside wearing nothing but a torn blanket. Her face was skeletal from starvation. One eye swollen shut. The moment she saw Caleb, panic exploded across her face. Run. The lights died again. Total darkness swallowed the basement. Then came breathing. Not theirs. Something else. Close. Very close. Heavy footsteps scraped across concrete somewhere in the dark. Caleb's flashlight flickered wildly. For 1 second, the beam illuminated a figure standing across the basement. Huge. At least 7 feet tall. Wearing layers of filthy animal hides stitched together with rope. Its face hidden behind something pale. No, not hidden. Covered. A human face stretched over its own like a mask. The flashlight died completely. Jenna screamed upstairs. Then the sound of smashing furniture erupted above them. Caleb ran. He grabbed the starving woman through the cage bars. Key. Where's the key? He has it. The footsteps thundered closer. Mason shouted from the stairs, Caleb, move. The creature lunged from the darkness. Caleb barely saw it before impact. Something massive slammed into him hard enough to throw him across the basement floor. Pain exploded through his ribs. The flashlight rolled away. In the brief, spinning beam, Caleb saw the thing clearly. Its body looked almost human, but horribly wrong. Limbs too long. Skin gray and stretched tight over muscle. Its mouth smeared red with fresh blood. And the face mask, stapled onto its head. Human lips dangling loosely over its own snarling mouth. The creature grabbed Mason by the throat, lifted him effortlessly. Mason kicked violently, choking. Then the thing bit into his neck. Not like an animal, like a starving person devouring food. Blood sprayed across the basement wall. Jenna's screams became hysterical. Caleb scrambled backward in shock, while Mason collapsed twitching onto the floor. The creature looked at Caleb, smiled. Then the generator failed completely. Darkness. Absolute darkness. Only chewing sounds remained. Caleb ran blindly toward the stairs. He slammed into Jenna halfway up and dragged her upward while she sobbed uncontrollably. Behind them, footsteps climbed slowly. Not rushing. Almost casual. Like it knew they couldn't escape. They barricaded the basement door with furniture seconds before something crashed against it from below. Boom. The entire doorframe shook. Again. Boom. Wood splintered. Jenna hyperventilated near the fireplace. What the hell was that? What was that? Caleb couldn't answer. Another slam hit the door. Cracks spread through the frame. Then silence. Complete silence. Only the storm outside remained. Caleb's hands trembled violently as he searched kitchen drawers for weapons. Nothing useful. One hunting knife. That was it. Then Jenna noticed something mounted above the fireplace. A shotgun. Caleb grabbed it instantly. Empty. Of course it was empty. Another note sat beneath it. Out of shells. Sorry. Caleb stared at the handwriting. Same as before. The owner knew. The owner absolutely knew. Then they heard footsteps upstairs. Both froze. Slow creaking steps crossing the second floor. But the creature was downstairs. Wasn't it? Another footstep echoed above them. Jenna whispered, "There's more than one." A loud knock suddenly hit the front door. 3 sharp knocks. They jumped. Another knock followed. Then a man's voice. "Sheriff's Department. Anybody inside?" Relief flooded Jenna instantly. She sprinted toward the door. Caleb grabbed her arm hard. "Wait. Are you crazy? Why would police be out here in this storm?" The knocking continued. "Open the door." Caleb approached cautiously. No lights outside. No police vehicle. Nothing visible beyond blowing snow. Then the voice changed. Subtle at first. Lower. Distorted. "Open the door." Jenna backed away slowly. The thing outside slammed against the entrance hard enough to rattle the walls. Another impact followed immediately. Then another. The wood cracked. Caleb shoved furniture against the entrance while Jenna cried openly now. The cabin groaned around them as wind screamed through the mountains. And then, a voice whispered from behind them. "Don't let them separate you." Both spun around violently. The starving woman from the basement stood in the hallway, covered in blood, holding a rusted revolver. Caleb stared in disbelief. "How did you?" "I picked the lock weeks ago," she interrupted. "I stayed hidden." Her eyes looked hollow, broken beyond repair. "There are 3 of them," she whispered. "Brothers." Another slam hit the front door. "The owner feeds travelers to them during storms." Jenna nearly collapsed. "No." The woman ignored her. "They were people once. Long time ago. Family got trapped up here during a winter famine in the 1970s. Snow buried the roads for almost 2 months." She swallowed hard. "They ate each other to survive." The upstairs footsteps resumed. Slow. Patient. They never stopped. The lights flickered once more before dying permanently. Now only firelight illuminated the cabin in dim orange shadows. The woman handed Caleb the revolver. "1 bullet left." "For what?" Her expression didn't change. "You'll know." A deafening crash exploded from upstairs. One of the bedroom doors splintered inward. Heavy footsteps sprinted across the ceiling. Fast. Too fast. Jenna screamed as something slammed against the upstairs railing. A giant silhouette emerged at the top of the staircase. Another brother. This one taller. Its jaw unnaturally wide from years of dislocation and tearing flesh. Human teeth hung on strings around its neck like jewelry. It stared down at them silently. Drool slid from its mouth. Then it charged. Caleb fired instinctively. Click. Empty. The revolver had no bullet. The woman lied. Chaos erupted. The creature vaulted over the staircase railing and landed directly onto the dining table, smashing it apart beneath its weight. Jenna ran toward the kitchen. Too slow. The thing caught her ankle instantly and dragged her screaming across the floor. Caleb stabbed it in the shoulder with the hunting knife. The creature roared and backhanded him so hard he crashed into the fireplace stones. Pain exploded through his skull. Dazed, he watched the starving woman calmly pull the final shotgun shell from her pocket. She loaded it slowly into the shotgun. "I saved it," she whispered. The creature turned toward her, smiled, almost affectionately, like it recognized her. Then realization hit Caleb. She wasn't a prisoner. She had been surviving with them. Maybe willingly, maybe not at first, but long enough to become part of this place. The woman aimed the shotgun. At Jenna. Boom. The blast tore through Jenna's chest at point-blank range. Blood sprayed across the kitchen walls. Caleb stared in horror. The woman lowered the shotgun calmly. "They only eat fresh meat," she said softly. The creature immediately dropped onto Jenna's body. Feeding, tearing, crunching. Caleb nearly vomited. The woman looked at him with dead eyes. "You should have left when you saw the sign." Then the front door exploded inward. The third brother entered from the storm. Enormous, wearing antlers wired directly through its flesh. Snow swirled around him as icy wind flooded the cabin. Caleb ran. Pure survival instinct took over. He sprinted toward the back hallway while the creatures fed behind him. He heard bones snapping, wet chewing, animalistic growling. He reached the garage door. Locked. He searched frantically for keys. Nothing. Footsteps approached slowly behind him. The woman. "You can't escape," she said. Caleb found a mounted axe on the wall. Grabbed it. "You're helping them. They saved me. They tortured you. They fed me." Her voice remained emotionless. "You learn what hunger does eventually." The hallway lights flickered one last dying time, long enough for Caleb to see scars covering her arms. Bite marks. Pieces missing. Not torture. Consumption. The brothers had been eating her slowly for weeks, keeping her alive. She stepped closer. "You'll understand too." Caleb swung the axe into her shoulder. She collapsed screaming. He kicked open the garage side door and ran into the storm. The cold hit like knives. Snow blasted his face so hard he could barely see. The SUV had vanished beneath drifts. The forest stretched black ahead. Behind him came roaring. The brothers were coming. Caleb ran into the trees. Branches whipped against his skin while deep snow dragged at his legs. Every breath burned his lungs. Then he heard them moving around him. Not chasing directly. Hunting. One circled left. Another right. They knew these woods. He didn't. A shape burst from the darkness ahead. Caleb swung the axe wildly. It struck flesh. A scream answered. Human. Not monster. A teenage boy collapsed into the snow, clutching his arm. Caleb froze. The kid couldn't have been older than 16. Filthy. Terrified. "Please," the boy cried. "Don't leave me." "What the hell?" "They took me last month." The boy pointed deeper into the forest. "There's more cabins." Caleb's stomach dropped. "How many people?" The boy's eyes filled with tears. "You hear them screaming every night." A roar echoed through the trees. "Close. Very close." The boy panicked instantly. "Run." They sprinted together through blinding snow while massive shapes crashed between trees behind them. The forest suddenly opened into a clearing. And Caleb stopped dead. Cabins. At least 12 of them. Hidden beneath the mountain. Every single one dark. Every single one occupied. He could hear faint banging from inside some of them. Crying from others. The boy grabbed his arm desperately. "We hide underground." But movement appeared around the clearing. The brothers. All three emerging from different sides. Blocking escape. The tallest one stepped forward slowly. Blood covered its mouth. It looked almost amused. Then Caleb realized something horrifying. They weren't starving monsters anymore. They were organized. Experienced. This wasn't survival. This was farming. The cabins existed to trap travelers during storms. The owner delivered them. The brothers harvested them. Year after year. Storm after storm. The boy suddenly shoved Caleb hard. "Sorry." Caleb fell backward into the snow as the teenager sprinted toward the creatures willingly. One brother handed him a flashlight. Like reward. Like family. Caleb stared in disbelief. Bait. The kid had been bait. Used to lure desperate survivors out of hiding. The creatures closed in slowly. Caleb gripped the axe tighter. No escape. No help. No roads visible through the storm. Then headlights appeared in the distance. A snowplow. Approaching the mountain road. The brothers reacted instantly. Agitated. One roared furiously. The opportunity lasted seconds. Caleb ran straight through the trees toward the lights. The creatures charged after him. Branches snapped behind him. Heavy footsteps thundered closer. He burst from the forest onto the road screaming for help. The snowplow slammed brakes hard. An older driver leaned out the window in shock. "What the hell?" One brother emerged from the woods behind Caleb. The driver's face changed instantly. Not surprise. Recognition. "Oh no," the man whispered. He reached for the radio. Too late. The creature ripped him through the truck window in an explosion of blood. Caleb climbed into the snowplow desperately while the brothers dragged the screaming driver into the woods. He's still inside. Engine running. He floored the accelerator. The giant vehicle lurched forward through heavy snow. For one glorious moment, hope returned. Then the road ended. Blocked. Massive fallen trees stretched across the path deliberately. Trapped. Caleb reversed violently. But another figure stood behind the vehicle now. The cabin owner. Holding a rifle. An old man in a thick winter coat. His face calm. Tired. "You should have stayed inside," he said. Caleb slammed the accelerator directly toward him. The old man fired once. The windshield exploded. Pain ripped through Caleb's shoulder. But the snowplow kept moving. The owner dove aside at the last second. Caleb drove blindly through the storm while blood poured down his arm. Behind him, distant screams echoed through the mountains. Not animal, human. Fresh tourists arriving. The storm swallowed everything soon after. By sunrise, search crews found the abandoned snowplow half buried near the state highway. No Caleb, no bodies, no cabin, nothing. Officials blamed the storm. Hypothermia, exposure. Case closed within weeks. But truckers still talk about Black Ridge during winter routes, about strange lights deep in the mountains during blizzards, about emergency radio broadcasts that suddenly cut into static and screaming. And every few years, tourists disappear near the Bitterroots without explanation. Cars abandoned, luggage untouched, no tracks leading away. Locals avoid those roads once snow starts falling, especially near the old Black Ridge Trail sign, the one with red spray paint beneath it. Don't stop here. Most people assume it's a prank, until they notice the newer message carved underneath in rough, shaky letters. We are still hungry.